That I had a thing for Ethan was Riverdale's worst-kept secret. Back when my family's shadow stretched over the city, every CEO on Wall Street angled for a dynastic marriage, and the four heirs stayed politely still because they knew whose name was inked on my heart. Ethan assumed I was locked in, then turned around and pledged forever to another girl, flashing their romance in my face. I'll give you a marriage and a kid. Love? Never. The joke was on him. Hawthorne really thought I was a doormat. I swallowed the shard in my throat, spun on my heel, and chose Julian instead. The night I proposed to Julian, Hawthorne dropped to one knee and begged my forgiveness. Cheap late-coming affection is worth less than dog spit, so I told them both to get lost. After I walked out of Richard's study, Hawthorne read the steel in my eyes and said nothing more. Hawthorne only told the house manager to start preparations. 5 days until my 20th birthday, the day the next sterling heir would be announced. There were guest lists, security details, stock option gifts to finalize, but I couldn't care less. I needed air, so I drove to Olympus, the club where Riverdale's golden parasites always gathered. I had barely stepped onto the marble when voices floated down from the rooftop garden. Nice, Ethan, starting tomorrow you're playing in the majors. With Sterling muscle behind him, the Sterlings won't just own Riverdale, they'll crack the national top 3. What the hell are you idiots talking about? Ethan snapped, ice crackling under the words. I never agreed to any dynastic marriage, and I've never wanted Diana. I don't ride my family's coattails, and I sure as hell don't ride a woman's. Stop smearing her name all over me. Exactly, a sugar-sweet voice chimed in. Stop it, guys. Ethan's not some fortune hunter. Laughter erupted, my heart lurched. Maya. Ethan had brought her here, parading her to the city's elite like a new acquisition. My foot hung midair for a half-second. Diana, up here. Pierce, another of the four, sworn off romance but loyal to me since boarding school. Retreating would look like surrender, so I climbed the spiral stairs and stepped into the garden. My gaze found Ethan first, instinct still traitorous. Hawthorne had an arm around Maya, her body tucked into him like ivy. The sight spiked straight through my eyes. When Hawthorne saw me, his brows crashed together, disgust written in every line of his face. Why are you here? I told you to stop shadowing me. Are you incapable of understanding English? My stride faltered. I started to say I hadn't come for him, but Maya suddenly burst into tears. Ethan pulled her closer. What is it, baby? You're shaking, feeling sick? That night, the men. Her voice fractured. Ethan's expression darkened. Diana, so it was you. I stared. It was me what? Hawthorne yanked out his phone and flicked to a photo roll. Several shots of Maya, clothes shredded, barely covering skin, hair wild, face streaked with mascara. Calculated vulnerability, she looked even prettier wrecked than polished. Ethan's tone turned glacial. She was on her way to me when someone grabbed her. If I'd been 30 seconds later, I should have known. Professionals like that don't bother nobodies for fun. You ordered it. I met his glare. I didn't. Why would I? You figure it out. Certainty radiated from him as though I spent my days stalking alleyways, jealous of every woman who breathed near him. My mouth locked, pain flooded my ribs. Hawthorne gave a disgusted snort and stroked Maya's hair. I stepped forward, seized her wrist, forced her to look at me. Why lie? Did you see me there? I didn't see anything, I swear, I don't know. She sobbed harder, cringing as if I'd strike her. Ethan flung my hand off. Touch her again and I'll bury you. His eyes held pure revulsion now, edged with hate, as though I'd already been convicted. I wanted to tell him I'd already torn his name out of my future, that Hawthorne didn't need to guard against me, but the betrothal ceremony concerned two empires, an early leak could topple share prices before I was ready, so my lips trembled shut, and I knew, whatever I said, Hawthorne'd never believe it. Fine. No explanations. I turned to leave. Ethan caught my wrist. Out of respect for your father, I won't press charges. But you'll apologize to Maya. You're the sterling heir, big deal. That doesn't give you license to shred an innocent girl. If this is how you plan to run the family, you'll burn it to the ground inside a year. Don't expect me to pick up the ashes. Apologize? I echoed hollowly. For a crime I didn't commit? Maya isn't capable of malice, Hawthorne shot back. If she says you did it, you did. Own it. Didn't your parents teach you accountability? I slapped him so hard my palm stung like I'd grabbed a branding iron. Loving him had been my own fault. framed and insulted, I could take that. But no one dragged my parents. When friends moved to mediate, I shoved past them, stared at the red print on his cheek, and laughed coldly. You think I bullied her? Alright, Ethan, I did. And every time I see her from now on, I'll bully her again. What exactly will you do about it? Hawthorne cupped his face, shock widening his eyes. From childhood until tonight, I had never raised my voice to him. I had petted, spoiled, and defended him, stripping myself to the bone. The whole city called me his doormat, and Hawthorne had never once corrected them. Hawthorne simply hadn't expected me to hit back, literally. A beat later, Hawthorne finally processed what I had said and yanked Maya into his arms. Diana, I'll take whatever you throw at me, but you don't touch Maya. Hawthorne looked as though Hawthorne were swallowing a mouthful of disgust while forcing out the words. Promise you'll leave her alone from now on and I'll agree to the dynastic marriage. Ethan, don't do this for me, she cried, clutching his sleeve. I'm not afraid of her. Don't let her humiliate you like this. Being tied to that woman will wreck your whole life. Maya stared at me with reddened eyes, jaw set, the picture of fearless devotion. Quinn, you've got money, power, everything. I have nothing. She dropped to her knees with a thud. Please, let Ethan go. Let us go. We really love each other. I'm begging you. She began to kowtow, forehead wrapping the carpet. Even the little garden at Olympus was padded with silk pile rugs worth more than most people's cars. The theater of it was meant to make Ethan ache, and to brand me the bully. Predictably, Hawthorne was gazing down at her as if she might shatter. Diana, enough. I already said I'd marry you, what more do you want? I bit back the sting in my throat. They had slandered me, trampled me, and somehow I was still the villain. Fine, if I already carried the blame, I might as well own it. I drew a slow breath against the acid spreading through my chest and smiled coldly. Sure, I'll let you lovebirds go. But kowtowing on Kashmir? Shows zero sincerity. I seized Maya's wrist and dragged her to the ornamental platform a few steps away, where jagged white pebbles paved the ground. Here's where you prove eternal love, knock yourself out. Laughter rippled through the onlookers. Every trust fund heir here knew Maya was a manic pixie fraud. They were happy to watch her squirm, happier still to see Ethan and me tear each other apart. I no longer cared. Ethan hauled Maya up and wheeled on me, eyes blazing. I actually thought that even if I didn't love you, I'd still play the part after the wedding. I was willing to give you a title, a bedroom down the hall, even a child someday. But you're not worth a single inch of my life. From now on you can cuddle your marriage certificate for warmth. Looking at him now, I felt as though I'd never met the boy who once saved me. At the start, we hadn't been enemies. When I'd transferred into the academy the heirs attended, my surname isolated me overnight. Little kids hear private security corps and picture guns and body bags, not stock dividends. Add that to the fact I'd just lost my mother, and I was a walking ghost. One afternoon, after the nth time they'd locked me in the supply closet, the door exploded inward. Ethan stood there, blazer torn, cheek bleeding where the latch had scraped him. I was half conscious, but I still remember him saying, I'll protect you from now on. I believed him, but childhood tenderness couldn't stand against teenage pride. The minute Hawthorne realized his family intended to sacrifice him to me, resentment curdled inside him, toward his parents, toward my father, and, most of all, toward me. Then came Maya, a girl who asked nothing of him except Instagram captions and late-night milkshakes, who made him feel free. I became the stone in his shoe, the contract Hawthorne couldn't tear up. Only I stayed stuck in the past. Now, watching them cling together like star-crossed lovers thwarted by a wicked duchess, I was suddenly bored. Bored stiff. I walked out of Olympus and didn't leave my penthouse for days. Partly because my mood was gutter low, yes, it hurt, and partly because Richard was planning to piggyback my betrothal ceremony onto my birthday gala. Even in a dynastic marriage there are hierarchies. The family my father had chosen was half a tier below Sterling. Technically I was marrying down, which meant the groom was, for all practical purposes, being absorbed into our line. Handy, since I'm the only heir. Custom demanded that I, not the man, deliver the proposal. My mental image of the fiancé hadn't evolved since high school, a pale, fragile ghost whose beauty belonged in a glass case. Rumor said Julian's lungs were so delicate Hawthorne needed oxygen after a flight of stairs. Beyond that, blank, but none of it mattered. When love isn't in the equation, the groom is interchangeable. Birthday night arrived. Because the event was an evening gala, I didn't step into the grand until after dusk. I'd barely reached the center of the marble floor when someone stalked toward me. Diana. Ethan wore a midnight blue tux tailored to cinematic perfection, every strand of hair lacquered into place. When I turned, a flash of awe crossed his face, softening the fury Hawthorne'd come with. "Where did you stash Maya?" Hawthorne demanded, brows snapping together. I refused to be the gasoline on their bonfire. "No idea." I pivoted to leave. Hawthorne blocked me. "At an event like this, someone like Maya couldn't lay a finger on you. You didn't need to have her carted off first. She's fragile, she's upset. If anything happens to her, how am I supposed to stomach living with you?" I shook off his hand, half laughing. 1. I didn't touch her. 2. You won't have to stomach me much longer. Tonight I would propose to another man and sign his name on my future. Whatever happened to Ethan and Maya was no longer my problem. Guests poured in, every head swiveling between Ethan and me. Pierce strolled over, champagne flute aloft, grinning like a cat in cream. "Come on, you two, still bickering? In 5 minutes you'll be family." Hawthorne winked at me. "I saw the setup, looks like you're popping the question, Diana. Lucky bastard gets proposed to by the sole heiress of Sterling's private security corps." Ethan's voice went arctic. "The clock hasn't struck. I can still say no. Diana, produce Maya, and I'll forgive you. Otherwise, when you kneel and Hawthorne doesn't answer, the humiliation is on you, not me. Feel free." I turned away, beyond done. On stage, Richard had begun his speech. The segment where I name my chosen groom is seconds away. I glanced toward the antechamber where Julian waited. His health is fragile. I'd meant to check on him earlier, but Ethan had intercepted me. I stared straight through Ethan. "This is my party, my life, and my choice," I said, voice flat. "I don't need your last chance." Richard's voice drifted across the grand. "Everyone, my daughter will name the man she's chosen." My name on his lips felt like a starting gun. Ethan pivoted slowly, still convinced I'd call him back. Instead, I looked past him to the corridor where Julian stepped into the crystal light. Hawthorne wore flawless white tails, broad-shouldered, posture military straight, nothing like the fragile ghost rumor loved to paint. Our eyes locked, and a reckless, savage joy rose in me like champagne spilling over broken glass. I lifted my chin, letting the whole room hear me. "Julian, tonight I pick you. I'm proposing, will you marry me?" Gasps ricocheted through the grand. Ethan spun so fast his cufflinks flashed like muzzle fire. Julian hesitated half a heartbeat, a flicker of shock crossing his face, then walked toward me, slow, deliberate, the orchestra missing its cue because every musician had turned to stare. Hawthorne stopped a breath away and simply extended his left hand, palm up. I slid the engagement ring, a band of white gold cupping a leaf-cradled droplet diamond, onto his finger. The ballroom erupted in frenzied applause, cheers drowning the orchestra's scramble back into waltz time. For one dizzy second, the noise felt like happiness. In the corner, Pierce shouted, "Wait, Diana, you and Ethan, ow." Someone had elbowed him. Hawthorne rubbed his ribs, laughed sheepishly, and wisely shut up. Julian's parents surged forward, clasping my hands, promising the sun, moon, and Hawthorne shipping lanes. Their excitement embarrassed Julian, color rising along his cheekbones, healthy, human color. Then Ethan shoved through the crowd, eyes fixed on the diamond glinting on Julian's hand. That ring was the sketch I had once doodled beside calculus notes, dreaming Ethan would wear it. The raw shock on his face almost tasted sweet. Ethan's voice cracked. "Diana, what the hell is this?" Hawthorne grabbed my wrist so hard my pulse stuttered. "A dynastic marriage? You barely know him. This is a tantrum. You want me to stop you? Choose me instead?" Hawthorne leaned in, eyes bloodshot. "Say the word and we'll forget all this theater." I peeled his fingers off, one scalpel cold digit at a time. "Theater?" "Ethan, the curtain already fell on us. Leave. Your girlfriend's waiting." From behind him floated Maya's saccharine murmur. "Ethan, sweetie, whatever are you doing?" She clung to his arm like ivy to cracked marble. I studied them both. "Last warning, Maya. Drag your Ethan off my marble before I decide crushing plants is therapeutic." Ethan didn't even look at her. "We designed that ring together," Hawthorne rasped. "You loved me. You still do, this is a scream for attention. Hawthorne turned to Julian. And you, ghost boy, enjoy her scraps while they last. I laughed, short, metallic. Attention? I just bought an entire news cycle naming Julian my air consort. Why would I waste oxygen begging for yours? Maya tried tugging Ethan away. Come on, Ethan. I'll make you happy, just us, remember? Hawthorne jerked free. Where were you the last 3 hours, Maya? You texted you were locked in a warehouse. How did you teleport here? Her mouth opened, closed, goldfish in couture. The lie, whatever story she'd spun to keep him from my celebration, hung stinking between them. I stepped past them both, sliding my arm through Julian's. Enjoy explaining that, Ethan. The crowd parted like theater curtains as I led my fiancé toward the dais, leaving Ethan stranded under the chandeliers with the echo of his own choices. Who would have guessed that, knowing full well I was in danger, Ethan still showed up at the gala, even dressed up for the occasion. When the message reached me I thought I'd misheard. Yet the moment I came to see for myself, I found him holding on to me, talking nonstop. It was unbearable. What made it worse was that, after I had already announced my fiancé, Ethan insisted on making a scene. Maya couldn't sit still any longer, she had to appear. I'm asking you, where were you before? Why are you here now? Ethan pressed, his face dark. Only then did it hit him, perhaps too late, that Hawthorne might truly have wronged me. Maya's eyes flickered. Some stranger let me out. I took a cab. Ethan stared at her coldly, then snapped, Maya, do you take me for an idiot? Ethan, brother, woo. Maya burst into tears, her lashes dripping. Any man would ache at the sight. Ethan's face stayed hard. Shall I pull the lobby surveillance, Maya? She bit her lip. I was afraid you'd abandon me. Ethan, I'm pregnant, you can't. What? Stop lying. We never slept together, how could you be pregnant? Before Hawthorne could finish, Maya rushed to me. Quinn, you're already engaged. Can you stop clinging to Ethan? Even if you won't pity me, pity the baby inside me. Please, I haven't. What nonsense are you spitting? Ethan's face burned crimson, caught between explaining and silence. Hawthorne couldn't force out a word. The murmurs around him threatened to crush his nerves. Everyone knew Hawthorne had rejected me for Maya. Everyone had heard from his own mouth how pure, how harmless, that little white flower was. Even if Hawthorne now swore nothing had happened, who would believe him? Hawthorne lifted his gaze to me and finally understood how it had felt when I was framed. The ballroom lights were blinding. Suddenly Ethan remembered the little things from back when I pursued him, like clumsy homemade cakes and cookies, the good luck charm I'd sewn myself, my pricked fingertips. Hawthorne recalled how, all those years, I had never once lied to him, how every promise was kept, how I would move mountains if Hawthorne only asked. Hawthorne remembered that, though my temper was quick, I never wore a mask in front of him. That joy or fury, every expression was real. Friends used to tease that I spoiled him rotten, that I was a doormat turned inside out, ready to hand over the family fortune before the wedding. Now, standing at my betrothal ceremony, watching me become another man's wife, Hawthorne felt fear, a pain in his chest that could not be faked. Only then did Ethan realize whom Hawthorne had truly loved. I couldn't be bothered to watch the spectacle. This was my birthday gala, my engagement, I wouldn't let them ruin it. I signaled the bodyguards. The men who'd been watching from the edge stepped in and invited Ethan and Maya to leave. Ethan's parents dared not utter a protest. They kept bowing to Richard, apologizing over and over. I took Julian's hand and headed for the small salon on the second floor to change. We still had to greet guests and toast the elders as betrothed, but Ethan shoved the guards aside, dropped to his knees with a thud. The carpet in the grand was thin, chosen so stilettos wouldn't snag. The sound of bone on marble made me wince. Hawthorne might have shattered his kneecaps. Sure enough, his face drained white, sweat beading on his forehead. Yet Hawthorne crawled forward, seized my wrist. Diana, I'm sorry. I believed Maya and wronged you. Don't be angry anymore. I know how you feel about me, now I see I've always loved you. I'm apologizing, I swear I'll never let you suffer again. Give me one more chance, please? I looked down at him, the same vantage from which Hawthorne once looked down on me. I refuse. Word by word, Ethan, I will not forgive you, not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Did you hear me? The corner of my mouth curled. I realized I no longer loved the man before me. I'd thought I would need ages to escape the shadow called Ethan, yet in mere days, My heart didn't ripple when Hawthorne confessed. Once you're truly broken, enlightenment comes fast. Late affection and apologies are worthless. I left with Julian, never glancing back. With Richard present, they couldn't make another scene. Half a month later, I met Ethan again. On my way home, Hawthorne looked a wreck, gaunt, face bruised. The once dazzling golden boy reduced to ash. The way Hawthorne gazed at me, eternal longing in a single look, turned my stomach. I tried to walk past. Hawthorne caught my arm. "Diana, you're ruthless," Hawthorne hissed. "I only misjudged someone, only failed to read my own heart. Why won't you give me one more chance? Were all those years of you saying you loved me lies?" His voice cracked, wounded, as if I had wronged him. Any passerby would pity the sight. "Really?" I gave him a cold stare. "My ruthlessness is simply not forgiving you. As for yours, need I remind you? I will never forget the day Maya first appeared. It had been raining. Because Ethan casually mentioned Hawthorne missed home cooking, I spent the afternoon with the housekeeper learning dishes and carried them to his office myself. His office sat on the penthouse executive floor of Sterling Tower. Even I had to check in with his secretary first. Yet in the lift I saw a girl punch the top button without hesitation. Some instinct kept me from stepping out at the secretarial level. I rode up with the stranger. That girl was Maya. She mistook me for an employee, and, nose in the air, ordered me to fetch her coffee. When I reached Ethan's office, I shoved the door open without knocking. Through the half-open doorway, I saw the two of them wrapped in each other's arms. I had never seen that tender, doting smile on Ethan's face before. At least, Hawthorne had never aimed it at me. Hawthorne even used the custom handkerchief I'd given him to dust the dirt off Maya's shoes. I stormed in like a madwoman and confronted him. Ethan, claiming I'd frightened Maya, flung me against the desk. The folders balanced on the edge had razor-sharp corners. They sliced a long gash along the side of my waist. The cut wasn't deep, but the bleeding was horrifying. I froze in shock. Scarlet soaked my light-colored skirt and trickled in slow stripes down my legs. Ethan merely sneered and told me to go look in a mirror so I could see how disgusting my face was. Hawthorne called me insane, a control freak, and screamed that I should get lost and stay lost. I asked him then why Hawthorne was so cruel. His answer still rings in my ears. "You brought every bit of this on yourself. Who told you to be so cheap, to keep clinging to me?" Hawthorne said, "Diana, do you even know how to spell the word dignity?" Now, facing the same man, I watched the blood drain from his cheeks as I returned the question. "Didn't anyone ever explain? You begged for every piece of what you got, because you're the one who kept following me around, begging for scraps. Ethan, do you finally know how to spell dignity, or do you still need a dictionary?" I watch, savagely satisfied, as Hawthorne staggers back. His agony mirrors mine from that night exactly. Every line of pain could be mine. But Hawthorne's no longer worth another second, so I spin on my heel to leave. Hawthorne lurches after me. His injured knee gives out after 2 steps, and Hawthorne crumples to the carpet, sobbing. "Diana, what do I have to do for you to forgive me? Even if you want me dead, dead? It isn't me asking for that." I give a short laugh. "I warned you a long time ago, didn't I? Maya is no helpless dove. You said my jealousy made you sick, so I never brought her up again. Everything you're suffering now is your own bill coming due. Ethan, leave me alone. Can't you understand plain English?" The last spark of hope dies in his eyes. When I walk away, the only sound behind me is the shatter of his voice breaking, but my heart refuses to ache for him anymore. Father told me the sterling dirt only a few days ago. Maya's godfather isn't some kindly uncle. The baby she's carrying is his. The man used to work for my father until the lure of black market profits drew him off the rails. Father cut him loose. Once Maya secured that crime lord's protection, she thought she finally had leverage against me. That confidence let her strut to Ethan's side in full daylight. Ethan, certain I'd always crawl back, allowed every insult she flung at me. Hawthorne watched her splash my name with mud and never lifted a finger. Now, pregnant with the Don's kid and too scared to confront his real wife, Maya wants to nail Ethan as the fall guy groom. Ethan balked. The old Don found out and, furious his unborn son might inherit another man's name, publicly vowed to kill Ethan. Only then did Ethan crawl back, shameless, to my door. I know his remorse is genuine. I even believe the feelings Hawthorne claims still burn. But that dime store affection is nothing compared with what I once poured over him. Hawthorne's forfeited any right to another drop, love, hate, or anything between, from me. A month later, I whisked Julian away on vacation. On the plane, Hawthorne finally confesses. The fragile ghost reputation was only camouflage, a way to dodge fratricide inside the Hawthorne war zone. Hawthorne'd grown bored of the lethal chess his half-brothers played and never cared for the prize. If his mother hadn't gambled everything to buy him a place on the marriage slate, Hawthorne would have vanished overseas, free of the name. Calmly I ask if Hawthorne regrets any of it. Because now that Hawthorne wears my ring, the sterling vortex will swallow him whole. Power and money hunt him whether Hawthorne wants them or not. Julian only smiles. Hawthorne asks if I remember the day I transferred schools and walked straight into a pack of bullies. I blink, startled. Hawthorne continues, when I learned I'd become a possible pawn in some dynastic marriage, I laughed. What a joke. My mother fought like a lioness for one lousy possibility. I kept thinking, if the sterling princess finally rejected me, all her sacrifice would be dust. Then I found you in the supply closet, half-conscious, your eyes full of injustice, yet you never uttered a word. A stranger, but your pain stabbed straight through me. I was too young to understand what that meant. Hawthorne pauses. I didn't realize until last year that the girl I carried to the nurse was the same girl who could decide my fate. When I linked that memory to everything you suffered because of Ethan, and you ask if I regret it? My only regret is leaving you at the infirmary door, letting you walk into the hell Hawthorne put you through. I stare at Julian, my vision blurring. Hawthorne pulls me close, arms iron yet unbearably gentle. I've never belonged to him before, we've never lost anything together. Yet I feel something slide back into place in my chest, something that whispers it was always his. Happiness floods me so completely I can't speak. The rest unfolds like dominoes. We choose each other, openly and forever. Julian teases that ours is the classic marriage first, love later script. I disagree. I fell for the boy who rescued me ages ago. The years merely diverted the road. And Julian, from the instant Hawthorne felt that odd tug in a dusty closet, through the regret that followed, to the victory of holding me now, our hearts have run toward the same finish line. Hawthorne beams and accuses me of being a smooth talker. I dodge that particular trap and draw out the band I designed myself. Sliding the cool platinum onto his finger, I seal the promise. Julian blinks, then sheepishly fishes a second ring from his pocket, his own secret creation. We burst into laughter, foreheads touching. No problem, I say between giggles. We each designed one, we'll just swap whenever the mood strikes. I brush a kiss across his cheek, and in his bright eyes I see my reflection, every inch of me. The tender adoration stamped on his face brands itself into my memory for good. The past drifts away like smoke, the sails are folded. Ahead waits the flawless future I'm ready to claim. Thanks for listening to our story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you enjoyed the video, smash that like button and share it with friends. We can't wait to read your comments, so don't forget to subscribe for more gripping tales. See you next time.